Well, well, well. There we go. I think I got this. Aloha, my name is Alexander Stone, and this is my very first video live stream. So I'm going to attempt to talk about some cool stuff over the course of the next bunch of months and who knows how long. But I also want to make it a little bit silly, a little bit too, not too silly, but I wanted to have that freedom to not be taken too seriously. At the same time as I hoping to interview some cool cats and talk about some controversial stuff. The big one being Ukraine at the moment. So now that I've got the YouTube moderator's attention, so I guess I'll give you a little introduction as to who I am. I'm just a guy. I'm a Canadian guy, musician, amateur politician, a whole bunch of things. Futurist, thinker, just a news junkie, definitely a news junkie. So I do like to stay up with current events. I'm still a layman, though. By no means am I an expert on anything. I'm pretty good. I'm an alright guitar player. I hope you like that track there. That was a little jam I had with some buddies back in my old hometown of Wasaga Beach, Ontario, Canada. I have since moved to the East Coast as of almost 2 years ago, I think. What's the date? Holy crap. Yeah, it's about exactly 2 years ago today. Or as of morning, it'll be 2 years. Wow. So I'm in St. John, New Brunswick now. And St. John, New Brunswick is a nice place. It's right on the ocean. People in Ontario don't know about it. They always think St. John's, which is in Newfoundland. It's not the same place at all. Yeah, it's about 70,000 people. So it's a town city. It's got the vibe of a town, but it's definitely a city. It's a nice place. And I thought I'd give you the kind of rundown how I got here. So as I said, I'm from Wasaga Beach, Ontario, and I've been all over the place. I was born in Hearst. If you know where Hearst is, you're an unlucky person. No, I'm just kidding. I'd never been since I was a wee. No, it's in Northern Ontario. I would have loved to. I still would love to go back and check it out, but my folks met in Hornpain. Yeah, that's a little town. I think it was 800 people, at least at the time. It went up, and then the population's gone down again, apparently, according to statistics. But a little railroad town up in Northern Ontario, and that's where my dad, my old French dad there, who's passed on, had met my British mother from Liverpool. She is. She's still kicking rock and roll. So I'm from Wasaga, born up in. I say I'm from Wasaga. I've moved more times than years I've been alive. A lot of it was in Ontario. So I started out in Hearst and then jumped over to New Brunswick for the first few years of my life because that's where my dad. He was adopted into a French family. I had for the first few years of my life, British mom and a French Canadian family. So I got to hear all the fiddle music and the spoons and like all the good stuff. So that really stuck with me. And I was born in '86. So Yeah, the photographs look retro from those days. Um, New Brunswick was always, as my dad said, a couple decades behind the rest of the country. But yeah, it's kind of it's very laid back here. It's not. I think in the whole province there's 700,000 people. Have gone up to 800,000 now. I think with all the Ontarians there. Having the mass exodus out east because of the prices, which is basically why I'm here. It got too unaffordable to live in Ontario, as I'm sure many people are facing. So now we're pissing off all the East Coasters. There's a lot of Ontarians coming here and buying houses and then renting them out for a lot more than they were renting out before. So that's a problem. That's definitely a problem that's it's starting to increase. More people are going home. So this is the poorest province in Canada. So that's rough. It's have 700,000 or 800,000 people, and yeah, it's where was I going with that? I forget what I was even. Sega to St. John. I'll have to rewind. I'm just kidding. Retroness. Where was I going with that? You could tell. Maybe somebody could type that. Oh, there's 0. I think there's 0. Oh, let me double check here. Yep, there's 0. This is a live stream. So it's just me and myself and I. That's a little more comfortable, actually. Now I can just let loose a little bit. Okay. So what was I talking? Oh yeah, the problems in St. John, the poorest. But why was I talking about that? Oh, the Exodus. Why I'm here. Yes. Sorry. So yeah, it got really bad. It's getting worse. I was from Wasaga Beach. That's about an hour and a half north of Toronto. It's where Toronto goes to throw their garbage in the summertime, and stab people. We're harsh. The people in Wasaga call people from Toronto idiots, which is a very impolite term for idiot city people. Wow. But they got a lot of names for people there that I don't agree with. So. I mean, like, it's just it's a tourist town. It's the longest freshwater beach in the world, and it has a population regularly of about now it's gone up to 20,000. It still is, I think, one of Canada's fastest growing communities, which is near Barrie, which is like Canada's fastest growing city, about 45 minutes west of Barrie, Ontario. Yeah, but in the summer it goes up to like friggin' it has in the past gone up to like 1 million people. It's kind of died a lot over the last bunch of years because the main end, they call it the main drag down in Wasaga Beach there on the east end. It's called the main drag. It's where you see all the pictures from the 1950s and 60s of people with the nice cars all parked on the beach, dripping the oil everywhere. It's always been like that. So it's been a tourist town. In the summer, it goes way up in population. But like I said, the main drag burnt down. People speculate as to why the owners may have burned it down or how it might have burned down. Nah, I have actually. That's on YouTube, actually, me going chasing that fire. So if you go through my videos there, don't. I've had this channel for like 10 years, and this is like my first live stream. So, which leads me to why I'm actually here talking. What a shit show of a life, I tell you. I've done some crazy shit. I've hitchhiked the country. I ran for town council in twice in Wasaga Beach. The first time was somebody left the job and they were trying to fill the space, so It was really only a vote between the council members, and I definitely lost. Too radical. And then I ran again. I had a really nice platform. I really did. And I really was studying. I would have been good for that town. So it was really starting to go downhill. The main end had burned down, and there was basically two factions in town. The new faction that finally got in kind of replaced the old guard in council, which I was kind of trying to get in with them a little bit. I had my own ideas, but they were a little more progressive than the other conservative side. Ontario rural is very conservative, so it's hard to get anything done at all. Rent control, anything like that for the people who are actually suffering. So the new faction wanted to take that main end, and instead of selling it off to some big rich tycoon or something like that, and having it out of town hands, we decided, and there was big community meetings. This is the first time people in Wasaga actually were getting together, and this coincided with Facebook groups from that town starting to become huge, and very volatile. My bad. So the meetings were big, and there was a lot of support for taking that main end and doing something cool with it. There was a big master plan developed. We had several meetings, public input, and everybody's had their say, and they would keep coming back for these meetings, and then there's online votes on certain things. It looked really gorgeous, because Wasaga Beach doesn't even have a downtown. Actually, it has a main street, but it's a sad state of affairs. Very few. Lack of services. There's no anything for poor people. Like there's no soup kitchens or homeless shelters or anything like that. You have to go to Barrie for that. They ship you out on a bus, as they do with the surrounding communities. They ship them out, or stuff them in motels. So this main street is very barren, and the main drag that went up in smoke. And there was not much going on for a lot of years, but this plan was going to look really good, and the whole main street was going to be done, and the main beach was going to be done. The whole property is worth something like $14 million or something like that. So we kept it as a town asset, and the conservatives went nuts because you can't. The town shouldn't be landlords, right? Or the town can't be landlords, or shouldn't. I just. That one baffled me. I'm like, where's this rule written? I don't understand why it has to be in private hands rather than public hands. Stuff like that controls the destiny of a community like that, a tourist community. That was the where everybody knew, and it was just, and everybody kept coming back, seeing the state of it, and saying, we're not coming back here, and they shot themselves in the foot, right? And a lot of people started moving away, and then you got all the rich people there with that don't even shop there. They drive to the Collingwood or Barrie to go shopping mostly. I mean, there's a Walmart and a little plaza and a lot of strip malls, a lot of little shitty strip malls. So there was another election. And this time I ran, and I had a good platform, but everything in Wasaga had started really splitting in those two polar opposites. And of course, the people who were in power, which was the progressives, were being waged war against by some hardcore right-wing trolls, like hardcore. The hardcore conservatives, shit disturbers. On both sides, there were shit disturbers. And by both sides, I mean centrists and right-wingers. Because, I had to align myself with centrists at best. They were center-right, these progressives, quote unquote. But they had good ideas, and I knew it would benefit the town because there's lack of jobs and all that shit, right? So it would have created thousands of new jobs in a town where people were really struggling. Would have created a bunch of new places to live, It would have attracted a bunch of other businesses. And the platform of the opposing party was to do nothing because money. Even though Wasaga Beach is the best off community in Ontario, it's got a hefty amount of reserves. It's doing very well financially, very well. That's what all the reports say, and have said for a number of years. They kept building up the surplus. They had the money to do whatever, and I don't know what they're planning on doing with it if they're not doing anything. I mean, like, there's projects to do, there's sewers and stuff like that, but it doesn't make sense to me. And the arena was going to go, there was going to be one of them new libraries with like a VR workshop in there and a 3D printing lab, like really innovative ideas for something like a public service like a library that's free. Because there's not too many places you can just go inside for free. You're expected to pay money. So, and that is the essence of a lot of the left-wing people in this country is, why does everything have to, nickel and dime us, right? Nickel and dime, not just us, nickel and dime the people who are even worse off. They need a place to go. They need a place to learn. Just people need a place to socialize. And in Wasaga Beach, everybody hangs out in the Tim Hortons parking lots. And I'm sure it's the same. It is the same. I know I've hitchhiked the country. It's the same across the country. Everything's boring. People. That's why everybody's on their cell phones, because the older generation would say, "Oh, well, we were outside, biking around." Okay, yeah. It's not the same. We're not going to play with the stick and hoop every day for a bunch of hours instead of, being on our phones. And plus, we can do what we're doing while using technology now. It's like side by side, so it's not quite the same. We live in a fast-paced time, even if you're trying to live a slow-paced time. I'm sure some people, especially with money, manage to slow it down. But when you are a broke ass, you're living day to day. There's no slow pace, really, unless, I don't know, you find some money floating in the wind or something. But these days that's becoming rarer. Like some of us dumb poor people started putting our money in a goddamn cryptocurrency. I'm sure you're aware how we're doing there. It was Memorial Day today in the States. So their stock markets and all that shit were closed. TSX went up. But generally the markets have been going way down. It's a nice curvy curve. Like it goes up for a few years and then it's doing a big... A lot of people talking. A lot of people trying not to say, these things. They know it's happened. They're doing everything to not say it, to cause the panic, and see how long we can stretch it out for. So, anyway, back to Wasaga Beach, and everybody hanging out at Tim Hortons parking lots. So this would have been great, having a new downtown, having the main end rebuilt. And instead, what do you think happened? Yeah, it's a conservative area. Naturally, the conservatives. But how did the progressives win the first? Because when it comes down to it, most people don't know the difference between left and right. So they hear some good ideas, and until somebody tells them that person's left or right, which the right wing loves to do. I mean, you have to defend yourself as a left winger, because even if you didn't know you were a left winger, they're going to call you a left winger for having any progressive ideas whatsoever. So you might as well, understand the difference. Because that's the funny thing, is how many left wingers have been born out of right wing BS, the old guard, right? So a lot of people asking, why aren't we doing this and that? well, it's exactly that. There's obstacles, um, and it's offensive actually. So Wasaga Beach voted in ultra conservatives who took that plan and threw it in the garbage, literally. And that was it. I didn't win. I think I got something like, it's a community of like 19 or 20,000, about only 9,000 or 10,000 vote. I think maybe it was 9 or 10,000. So I had the one who won there. The lady who won the mayor position was the deputy mayor under the previous progressive administration, and was just an obstructionist at every opportunity. It was blatantly annoying. So she won to be the mayor, right, and overthrow the new guy, right. The last mayor had been in power for 25 years or something like that, I think. And the one before that was the same, right? So there had only been 3 mayors in Wasaga Beach, because it's a new town. It basically started in the 30s, I think, the 20s or the 30s. The Kitty Hawk, one of the first flights took place on the beach there. So it's it was known, but it wasn't a place where people lived. I mean, the snow, that's in the snow belt. You got Blue Mountain over to the side there. You can see across the big stretch of across the water to the left there. Because it's like a 14-kilometer long stretch of beach, Wasaga Beach. And it's not a wide town. It's a very long town and narrow town with like 2 main roads. But the sand is like golden, perfect sand, and it's well taken care of. You got 3 levels of government, duking it out in Wasaga Beach. It's actually interesting because it's a provincial park as well. So you got the provincial people dealing with the parks at the beach, and you got the municipal doing the other, doing everything else, and then federal is also there. They monitor the water. They run the water as far as I think that's federal. No, fisheries. It escapes me, but I know there's 3 intertwining levels right there. So 3 intertwining levels of government. Just catching my thoughts here. My idiot cat's in heat, and it's just throwing me off. I got 3 cats, 3 very cool cats. I got them before I came out here. So Wasaga voted in conservatives that kiboshed the bloody plan. And actually, with a bunch of stuff pretty rotten happened for me on the same in the same week at least, but mostly on the same day. So I ran in the election. I got 800 votes. I think the winner there, Nina, got about 6,000 or something like that. So she kicked the shit out of me. I talked a lot of shit. But I didn't win. And on that day, I found out that the girl very close to me that I dated for a while. And we always talked every day. Or not every day, but we talked often. And stayed, real good friends for a number of years. And had that magic kind of thing. We met really cool circumstances, under really cool circumstances when I was just hitchhiking around and traveling around. I was going to universities looking for musicians I was just a poor kid, right? Like just going roaming, showing up with ripped jeans to the universities. I thought it was funny, and so did everybody. But Because I was having a good time. You just find cool places to smoke doobies, right? Like outside, there'd be like a little nook with a heat vent coming out, and everybody would gather around the heat vent. There'd be like, oh, all the time I go there. That was York University. And yeah, if anybody's listening and knows that place, you know, the wormhole. I never found out if it was the wormhole or the wormhole. Because it could have been wormhole because it was kind of nestled. And there's the couches out there that people brought out. It was gravel and stuff like that, but it was outside. And there's like 30 people, sometimes more, sometimes less. But I showed up, and Kitty was her name. And I showed up with my two buddies, and I had my guitar on my back. And I just come back from seeing a Bob Dylan concert. And sorry for this brief story, but I'll go back to, if I can remember, go back to what I was talking about. That day of the election there. But yeah, so I ran into Kitty with her two friends there, and we hit it off. She had the Cleopatra bangs and all that stuff like that. So we hit it off right away, and that was good. We had a lot of good years and adventures and stuff. And when I was hitchhiking around, I would sometimes send her message. We weren't dating anymore at that time, but I'd think about her when I was just out in the middle of Canada, in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, so she was a really good musician. I think you can look her music up. Katie Gosen, she's a very beautiful girl, and she was set designer for like Netflix films. Very artistic. She was going to school to be an actress. And on Valentine's Day one time I drove to St. Catharines where she lived, or no, I didn't drive. I took like 8 buses. I didn't drive fuck all where. So I got, I went there and I ended up being in the Rocky Horror Picture Show as the pit band guitar player. I was only there for like 2 or 3 days, but the guitar player had a toothache, something like that, had to leave. But I'm a quick learner, so I had listened to the rehearsal. I was like, I could do that shit. So I had to hammer hard with the bass player and the drummer in the morning. I said, I could do this. And they're like, are you serious? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. I got this. So I did. And I learned it with the awesome bass player and awesome drummer. And we did a damn good job. I liked it. So I was the hero. After randomly showing up on Valentine's, I was trying to be all romantic. It's probably, you don't want to do that nowadays. It's probably creeper. Like we were just kind of getting to know each other and stuff like that. But I'm from Wasaga Beach. St. Catharines is like 3.5 hours away. So it was quite the journey. We had a lot of awesome time. She'd come visit me in Wasaga and all that. So on the day I lost the election, I found out she had passed away from a heart failure. So that was just, and that's been a tough one. That was like 2 years ago. It's time has been a blur. But yeah, the worst. She was friends with so many bloody people. I mean, everybody looked up to Kitty because of her bubbly. Oh, she was just so good to everybody. It was really rare, almost like a what's her name, the actress there, Zoe Deschanel kind of aura about her, but really kind and could sing and play some really good music. This is just tobacco, by the way. I smoke. Get over it. This is just tobacco. Yeah, so I lost the election. That happened. And then I got some major back problems that had been going on before that and after that. But it was good. I had a job, too, that I was working for Bell and the Source there, just as a techie guy. And no, it was right across the street. I didn't even have to spend no money. I had my 1985 RX-7. Yeah. Yes, I did. That's the only car I've ever owned, and the rotary. Haha, a little poor man's DeLorean or James Bond mobile. James Bond mobile. It was gray and awesome. Well, no, it was terrifying. I'll leave it at that. So I also pulled my back out yet again. I got 2 herniated discs, spinal stenosis, and degenerative disc disease on top of who knows what the hell else. So that it's been debilitating on and off for several months at a time, and then you get some good months where you're like, I can do anything, and then yeah, and then it goes right back. Even it just with no rhyme or reason. It seems sometimes, and then it fixes with no rhyme or reason. You know. So anyway, I then pulled my back out. I had to drive to the bloody funeral in St. Catharines, and that was a tough thing. That was tough. In my shitty RX-7, I had 2 inches of playroom before the wheels would turn. So, holy, yeah, that was brutal on the way back. My brakes failed on the QEW, like not failed, but like there was nothing left other than metal on metal. So I had to. It was an unsafe vehicle to operate. I had a choke to keep the motor running, and I had to put a quarter in the choke because the spring was gone. So I put a quarter there, and it would keep it choked enough so it didn't stall, right? Because there was, air leaks and all sorts of shit that was starting to go on. My mechanics kind of, they straight piped it. I bought the friggin' catalytic converter, but apparently it takes three bloody catalytic converters and then it refuels. I know I'm going on a tangent. I'll get back to the election and Wasaga in a minute. But the RX-7, this is the brief. But yeah, coming back from that tragedy of an event. Yeah, my brakes fell on the QEW and it's bumper to bumper. So I just got my foot crammed on the brake and it is revved up to 3,000 RPM because anything under 2,500 RPMs and it will stall. Anything under 2,000, especially, it's done. It wouldn't stay on its own like that. So I got the quarter there, and I'm just white knuckling because I'm just shitting bricks. I want so badly to get off this stupid highway. It must have been an hour and a half stuck on that bloody thing from around past Hamilton, like somewhere on that stretch past there, heading back towards Toronto. Somewhere around there, and I finally managed to get off and go on some back friggin' roads with a car that stalls every once in a while, and like just for no reason, just won't start anymore. Yeah, it was that's what we live with. It was my own stupid fault for getting that bloody thing. That's my first car, but yeah, I'm that kind of guy. I'm the guy that wears the cool shirt and the cool car and all that shit. Not really. No. I've been canceled so hardcore that I don't think anybody would agree that. Usually they would have agreed that I'm a cool guy, but I'll stick with the RX-7 story right now. So coming back. That was the last time I drove. When I finally did get back after like 5 hours, 5.5 hours on an ordinary 3.5 hour journey, it just wrecked. I thought I was going to die, to be honest. Not even intentionally, shit. No, that's bad. So I didn't even drive after that. I sold the car. I got my money back. It was worth few grand still, and I put a lot of money into it, so did that. My idiot cat, the Bengal cat, well, no, I can't say idiot cat, she's a genius. I have genius cats. I have a Bengal, a Persian ragdoll, a Bengal girl, a Persian ragdoll boy, and it was my brilliant idea to see if I could make a batch of fluffy cheetahs. Right, the Persian ragdoll. That's Wally. He's a silver, and Ava's the Bengal. And yeah, they had some interesting babies. And so yeah, I got a couple bucks from that. And with Sega, so back to with Sega now. Like I basically I pulled a Brian Wilson. I pull a lot of Brian Wilsons, and that's my verbiage for lying in bed for months, just being a disaster of a human. So I did that for a while. Lie in bed after losing an election, losing my job because my back also ripped out. No, actually, that was why I didn't go back for a few days, and the trauma of the whole everything. But no, I got fired. Basically for not not calling for 3 days. It was 3 days. 3 days. But policy's policy. So I lost my job. I didn't win the election. And I lost the girl that was the closest individual, the closest friend that I had. And that was rough. So I was over Wasaga Beach. I was over it. I had done what I could. I tried. I wanted to lead there. I wanted to try to make it better for people. Even though it was horrible for myself, I was more interested in, friggin'. Before I lived in the house I was in, I was renting a place across from where I was working there, and it was, I barely managed to find that place. It was a little one bedroom house, which is bigger than a lot of people's there, but everything's cottages there, not very well insulated, so people in the winter freeze there. All the poor people, anyway, not the middle class now. But right before I got that house, I bought my RX-7 along with, at the same time, for dirt cheap, for I think $1,200. I talked him down for a 1967 Dodge Travco, 22-foot. Round Airstream looking motorhome, but it was fiberglass. But it looked like a spaceship. Obviously, I wanted a spaceship. I was going to turn that into the Galileo, for those who get the reference. It was brilliant, but it didn't run. It had a big ass, huge V8, big block engine in it, and weighed 10,000 pounds. The whole thing. Just solid steel frame and all that. Like, so it was kind of junk inside. So things still worked though. Like the fridge worked and the stove worked, and they ran on the propane. So I had it in the driveway of the place I was renting for a while, and then they didn't, bylaw was starting to give people shit for stuff like that. Eventually, my buddy had a property out in the outskirts of Wasaga Beach. A bunch of a failed subdivision from the 60s that somebody that didn't own land convinced a bunch of immigrant Italian folks that they did own the land, and sold them a bunch of chunks and said, "This is going to be a subdivision. Buy your property here," and then it just went up in smoke. That's from what I know about that, or not know about that, but that's what I've has been the going around thing about that area. So it was a failed subdivision. So everybody's got like an acre plots, but there's little trailers there that you're not allowed to build anything on it because it's kind of marshy area there. So it's failed. That's the main reason I think it's on like a very high water table right there. It's not too far from the beach, and it's down the west end. So a nice getaway from being inside town, kind of like camping. And I got our friends at CAA to tow my broken down RV that just broke down back to my home in the forest. So I got that was the second time I got them to tow it to where I was going. To back when I bought it, I got them to tow it too. shouldn't say that. Yeah. But technically, it was my home out in the forest because I had nowhere else to live. So I got that towed out to the forest, and I lived in my damn RV for 7 months until like December, and it was freezing. My generator died. Everything was going. I was heating the place with like 30 candles and under like 10 blankets and just freezing. I had no way to shower or anything like that, so I had to try to find places in town that or a friend in town. Yeah, people are mean. When you're that poor, people are mean. I mean, they're not at first, but I mean, and nobody wants to be a burden on anybody else. You don't want to be a pain in the ass to people. So you just do what you got to do. You do what you can, and you try to live. But I was out there in the forest, and like every night there's another animal getting its head bitten off by another animal, screeching in the bloody forest there. I think there was a weasel or something like that. There's like 5 people at all these 1,000 properties back there. 5 people that would, be around most of the time. The only one scary dude that would stay all year round, which is going around shooting shit all the time. It was scary. That's a whole nother incident. Holy shit! I could just ramble until friggin'. I'm getting back to Wasaga and how I left and all that shit. But I was living in the forest there. In that RV for like 7 months, and I was freezing my nuts off there by December, and couldn't find a place to live. And it's just, yeah. Finally, I did. I found that place for like $9.25 a month there across from where I got the job, and everything started to pick up. And after all the shit that had happened, shit before that. I had gone travel, all sorts of shit. It was nice to be living in a house for a while, so it was just like recouping from PTSD for the first 2 years, I think. And I was only there for like 2 or 3 years, and the election happened, all that shit happened, and I'm trying to remember what year that bloody happened in, because things go by. It was either 2018 or 2019 now, so it's been a couple years. It's been 3 years, maybe. Doesn't seem like that long, of course. But, yeah, okay, Wasaga. I living out in the forest, got a place, did that, ran for election, all that shit hit the fan. Pulled another Brian Wilson. And had a couple of friends that I couldn't move. I couldn't walk out of bed. I had trouble just going to the bathroom, like walking over to the bathroom there, hobbling. Couldn't stand up straight or nothing like that. Just bulged out, and everybody could see that it was bulged out. It was like really bad. So I couldn't do shit all of anything. The store was, a tenth of a kilometer away, and it was still just impossible. So once in a while, I had a couple buddies that would come and help me. Shout out to those buddies, because those were tough times. Those were tough times, and it's nice to have good company like that. Yeah. So, and then some stuff happened. I sold the car. I sold all that shit. I had some money. And I came out east. So I came out to. I spent. Had enough for a down payment. Let's just say that. And by me, I mean. It's complicated. It's complicated. So I had a good chunk of money. Enough for the down payment there. And looked around the entire country for a good solid few months. Holy shit. I looked high and low because I wanted to find the biggest place for the cheapest price. I wanted some space to do some artistic stuff. So for the first time I could have that kind of space, because I've lived in some that broken down RV. That's nothing. Yeah, like I said, I did hitchhike around the country, so I was living mostly in a tent. But sometimes we were in shelters and stuff. I've been in the shelters across the country. So I got to, which is good because I wanted to also learn. I've always wanted to learn about the country and what people are going through, so I could maybe one day change things. I know that's heavily optimistic these days, but I I moved to St. John. Where was I going with that? I moved. This is where the cheapest houses were. This in Amherst, Nova Scotia, but it's a little town. I figured this is a better place where the action is. It's on the ocean. That's real cool. I get to live on the ocean. Rad, man. So I was thinking that was pretty cool, and it is. And Wasaga being a place with some strip malls and not very good for a musician to do anything in whatsoever. I played shows everywhere else, but there was never anywhere really welcoming to play a show in Wasaga, my own town. I never got to play there. I got to play in Collingwood, got to play in Barrie, Thornbury, Blue Mountain, a couple little ones. All around, everywhere, but my own hometown because it's just that uncaring. Just that nobody wants to, nobody wants to see each other, talk to each other. So I found this place, and it's a rad place. So I've done a little work to it. I purplified it, which I'll get into that whole thing. You're probably wondering, what the hell's with the purple? And with good reason. What is with the purple? Especially when there's a PPC bloody party and not in any way associated with the PPC. Purple is an acronym. I came up with I decided I wanted to start a political party in for years. I've wanted to do that. Thought a lot about it. I'm still an idiot though, so but I'm a creative idiot. I'm a pretty creative idiot. And the strength of other people's knowledge is my strength. Because I like bringing people up, bringing in the expertise of the people who are experts, which I'm hoping to do on this kind of thing. We'll do some podcasting with some cool peeps. Holy heck, there's some. I'd like to get. Scott Richards seems to do everybody's show. Maybe he'll do mine. But maybe I should get more than 0 followers. Well, actually, that's a good way to get followers. Probably if I got him on. I still haven't figured out how to connect the Zoom thing yet. I'm learning. I'll do that tomorrow maybe. Scott Ritter for the whole. He's a former U.S. Navy Marine vet. Intelligence officer. He's an intel agent for the U.S. Navy Marine Intelligence. I think that's it. And former former UN weapons inspector. And a lot of people are going to him right now for his analysis because, everybody knows that. By everybody, I mean a very small fraction of people understand that our media is blatantly lying to us and then lying by omission in a big way, in a huge way, and it's rather disturbing. We haven't seen anything like this before, and the people who have been paying attention see that and be like, wow. Then again, it makes you wonder what else they've been lying about, and we'll get into all that. I'm trying to go through the history. I do want to get into all that very much. But I'm going to ramble because this is my first one. Try to get in the habit of it, of talking. This is still weird. Still very weird. Yeah, where was I? I moved to St. John because it was cheap. And because, whatever. So, I moved to St. John, and I started trying to, I was feeling a bit better. I was more upright by that time. It was, about 8 months after after first pulling, ripping the back out. Something like that. I can't remember. I'm guessing. Got here, started going to the jams. I found one jam. Oh, well, actually, right as I got here, right before we got here, there was a pandemic that started. If you remember, all the way back, it seems like a billion years, but COVID started. And so I got here on May 31st, June 1st. And we were going to take the plane, but that got canceled right at the last second. So that was the beginning of flights getting canceled and everything going crazy. So I had to drive here with my crazy cats. And I hadn't driven since driving my shitty RX-7. So that was just a shit show. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Obviously, like the Montreal, everybody knows Montreal's a little crazy to drive through, especially when you're a noob. I was not ready for that. So got here, went to the jams, started meeting people, started playing bass for all the different people at the jams. I got a good ear. I can fill in for just about anything in a rock and roll way. But I don't usually miss a beat. And I'm really very quick at figuring out what the progression is, what the key is, all that kind of jazz. But all very much rock and roll. That's my jam. And I was meeting a lot of good people, and then I met a guy that he was jamming there. He became the bass player. I started a band. That was my goal. I was going to start the Roccupiers, which is a play. It's the Rock and Occupiers, right? I was part of the Toronto Occupy movement in 2011. I was there for like 30 of the 40 days of the main days, most of the times. That was an amazing experience. That was a big thing. That brought me to the next level. Just talking with all sorts of people. Say what you will about the movement, and all sorts of people did say what they willed, especially that shite bag Ezra Levant. I had words with him. There's a video somewhere of me and Ezra Levant chirping each other. Well, him trying to chirp me and me being fucking polite. He was a real turd. Just real ignorant. Holy shit. And the thing that they would do back then, they would find all like the people with the worst problems, and the homeless that were getting dropped off there by the police. They would go up to those people, because that's what the police were doing. They were telling people, "Oh, go to the Occupy movement. You want like free food and all that shit? Go there," because they were trying to fuck with the event. And then the cameras would come in. All the news was there all the time. And they would just try to get the shit footage, and like all the brilliant, well-spoken people, they're like, fuck you. And then they would, go to the guy with the beer can. So jump forwards to meeting people and starting the Roccupiers because of leading back to that. And so I met a guy. He knew how to play guitar. I taught him bass. Really good. Bass was my my beginning instrument. I've taught a bunch of people how to play over the years, especially bass players, because there's a shortage of bass players on this planet. Especially girl bass players. It's the coolest thing. And girl drummers. Definitely need more of those out there. huge, massively. A lot of girl guitar players, a lot of guy guitar players, right? But nobody wants to do bass and drums. You don't know what you're missing. Bass is the most fun. Drums, you know, the drums. Beep bop, beep bop. Yeah. So I met a bunch of people. Kept doing that. Started the band right at the beginning of COVID, and we kind of kept to our little bubble. Where and people, the masks just start. And this is a place where cruise ships come park in. I hadn't seen a cruise ship. I saw my first one just a week or two ago. The first little cruise ship came in, but there's big ones that come here. But the entire time I've been here, like 2 years now, everything's been right shut down. So I came at kind of a tough time to meet people, and I still managed to meet a lot of people, and then still fucked it up. I really fucked it up. Well, I didn't mean to fuck it up. I just opposed Nazis, and apparently that makes me a Nazi. So we'll get into that. Yeah. So did the band. Where was I? Started the band. Played a couple solid gigs in town here. One at the Phoenix Theater there, and that was really cool. The other was at the same day. Actually, we played our only two big shows. Played the Boardwalk stage, which they just tore down. They're gonna build another one. But we got to play it, and it was there's a lot of people, and they're checking it out, and all original music. So that was badass. We did that, and then like a week or two later, right when we were still fresh, it's still learning though. Like we'd only been together for a year at that point, I think. We started in March of last year, I guess. Last year? Holy shit. Yeah. Is that right? I think it was the year before. I don't even know. I think it was just last year. I don't even friggin' know anymore. No, because this is the second winter. I did a winter already. So, it was in March of 2020 when we started the band. And then, no, that doesn't make sense either, does it? Wow. Sorry, I'm just like having a brain fart timeline there. I think we did those shows last year in September. Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, because I released the album on September 11th, 2021. So that was just a few weeks after after playing those gigs, and exactly 20 years after that day. Apparently you can get decommissioned on YouTube for talking about that event. So we won't talk about that event at the moment, anyway. Although no, we'll just leave it at that. I did see architects and engineers for that event, Truth, back at the Underground Cinema in Toronto back in the. And it wasn't huge on the whole, because at first, like, I watched that event on live TV in high school. Grade 10. Wow. 2001. Yeah. Yeah. So what about that event? I forget about that. So yeah, September 11th, 2021, I released the album with the band, and it was really cool. It's hard to break out here though. There's not like especially with COVID, there was not much action, and people are even the bands that are well known here, I think, have a pretty tough time. And not me being a new guy, there was a bit of I had some traction. But then it started kind of floundering a bit, and we kept practicing and doing all that. But the COVID shit happened, and I had my own battles with the public. I had my Facebook. My Facebook is shut down right now because of I was, yeah. Wow, what a shit show this Ukraine shit has been, and the COVID shit. Last year was the QAnon wars, right? The Q wars, I'll call that. So fighting against a lot of that whole bunch of bullshit propaganda from the Q movement, right? So and not necessarily supporting. I've been an NDP supporter in Canada. That's the left party. Liberals are not as left. It was what the right wingers bloody say. Liberals are. Liberals are definitely center right at the very leftist. Yeah, so I used to vote NDP. Now I'm kind of blah. They're just not doing it for me so much anymore, and there just really isn't much of an option, other than maybe the Communist Party, right? And I'm going to hopefully have some guests from the Canadian Communist Party over here, because I haven't read Marx. I haven't read any of that stuff. Like everybody wants to assume every leftist is like, oh, you're this or that, right? No, maybe we'll learn together. We'll have these people on. They'll teach me, and at that time, you can be taught to, audience. So we'll see. Yeah, so the QAnon wars happened like last year with all that bullshit. I think it's like the year before Trump friggin' finally got out of office. So it's a Trump years. God, it's been a shit show. Everybody knows it's just been like one thing after another, and now it's like World War III and aliens. We've been building up to this. So I fought heavy as soon as I got here. I got banned from like 5 different groups in town for battling with the absolute idiot QAnon people, and that was before anybody knew what QAnon was, right? So I'm tackling these idiots, while they were still spreading the Satan, Jesus Christ, all their bullshit, and the Trump fanaticism embedded in it, the hero and savior Trump. Although, yeah, the irony is that now Trump is the only candidate in the United States, only politician in the United States, other than Ron Paul, maybe, sadly, that is opposing the bloody war. Says that there should be a path to peace. The rest of them are loading billions of dollars in weapons into the truck and parking that on a boat and then driving the boat, and I don't know how that works, but probably digital. The money. Yeah, they said stuff. I see the airplanes. I got the map of the bloody. I can show you what's going on there. Let's see if I can bring that up. Actually, globe ads exchange. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but let's see if I can do this. Airplanes. Can you see that? Let's see here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but those are airplanes. That's just military airplanes. So these are the ones flying over the States right now. It's not all of them, obviously. There's a lot that aren't tagged. We'll watch how many U.S. planes there are. Look at this. Oh, that's Poland. Yeah, Poland's starting to ramp it up. But that's good. The United States. A lot of the U.S. ones. Shit's going on in the UAE right now. Training? Just training exercises, it looks like. Unless they're dogfighting with someone. What the hell's that? Is that 2 planes? Yeah, it's 2 planes. Yeah, they're just doing training things. You can kind of tell. But the big no-fly zone. See, look at this. You don't see any China ones. You don't see any Russia ones. You don't see any Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, anything. Except for a bunch of American. These are all American ones off the coast of China, ready to possibly invade Taiwan. Who knows? So that's it's the airplane map. And I'm sorry about my squeaky ass chair. It's the worst. I'm gonna get a new one eventually from a yard sale. So I don't need that up anymore. That's just gonna take up juice, comfy juice. Ew. Exit. Hey, maximize. Oh, you guys can see almost you can almost see my cool Le Cars background. I might as well. I'm gonna show you that. Why not? Where's my mouse friggin' thing? Hello? There it is. Okay. Bam. Look at that. That's my cool ass. It tells me how my computer's doing. The bottom one's my RAM. Well, that's a swap memory, physical memory, and GPU, and CPU. So they're just giving her right now. Bam. Is this better? Yes, this is better. Yeah. So I'll cut to the chase. QAnon wars, and then let's see if I can fix this bloody thing. Oh, that's really squeaky. The QAnon wars, and then the COVID bloody shit. Now, okay. And this is where I lost half of people. Because there's a lot of the anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers. That one pissed me off way more. Just being anti-mask, like it was, they're trying to silence you. God. If there's other pandemics in the future, we're gonna do the same kind of stuff and the same we did in the past for stuff like that. So the mask thing, that's what made the anti-vax thing even stupider. It was the anti-mask thing. Like, people were freaking out as a country, as a group of people, as a community, whatever we are. I mean, I get it. You don't want to be forced to do shit. But I mean, you really weren't. Like, you did. It was the line of being enforced. And if it was a private establishment, they have that right to make their own bloody rules. And that's by your own capitalist bloody standards. That's your property rights shit, right? As the right-wingers, especially, like to tout. So I fought against that pretty hard, and it was, and then the convoy happened, and I wrote a cool song, like kind of giving the convoy shit, because from what I had been learning, and this is going to, this is controversial. I supported not the convoy, and I did not support the convoy, because there were first of all, the whole premise of the thing, it happened because the truck drivers all of a sudden had to do the vaccine stuff. Everybody else had already been forced, but as soon as they hit the truck drivers, them and some of the police out there thought that they were above everybody else or something like that. It seemed, I mean, every country in the world had even North Korea's like getting their people to wear masks and do vaccines and stuff. They have no connection to the Western New World Order, all that shit like that. Right? So it goes to show, like, Russia was wearing masks, like all over the world, right? So it was a worldwide thing led by what I believe, led by scientists. So it wasn't as much of a political thing. Everybody here blames Trudeau for all of COVID and just everything that happened. And so I reluctantly chose to come to bloody Trudeau's defense, because people were going up and down my street with fuck Trudeau flags hanging out the bloody windows, and getting ready for a bloody insurrection. It seemed, because there were the people who started the bloody movement were. Oh God, it's been a while now. I'm trying to remember the group names. Alberta Separatists, Canada Unity, I believe. Canada Unity and some other, mixed in with some other right-wing groups, which is disputed. Some of it's not at all disputed, but the people with the guns in the one Alberta town, there was probably a lot of weapons that just didn't end up, getting used. But there was probably a lot of weapons at these convoys, to be honest. And everybody that was there saw the other side of it. They saw the happy hippie thing, people loving all that with their fuck Trudeau flags, just like a total polar opposite. And there were some people with the Nazi shit, right? That were there. That's important. I don't think they're age provocateurs. There's a lot of people like that. Like you all say now with the whole Ukraine situation. Oh, there's Nazis in every country, right? So, yeah, that was what my beef. It was who led the bloody thing, who was behind it, not the 70 or 80% of people who were just fed up. Yeah. The worst part about that whole movement was that they were basically protesting the biggest protest we've ever seen in Canada, bigger than the Occupy movement, more support, all for, like, we demand to return to 3 years ago. Like, not change anything, not do anything special. Just return to capitalism as normal, like it was before all this stuff started. That's it, and they call that freedom. That's freedom now. Yeah, give us our freedom back. But you guys were complaining that Trudeau was in power back then too, or Harper, or whoever the hell. It's like a personality thing. People get fixated on the leaders of these parties, and it's just. There's so much bullshit going on. So that transpired, the convoy shit, and I wrote some pretty good lyrics in my song, "The Road to Hell," paved with good intentions and all that. But there was also kind of a religious element in the convoy a bit too, and I worry about that authoritarian, religious, right-wing sect of the population, who, if things, I won't speculate, but I worry sometimes. I worry now more than ever, about people like myself, progressives, or whatever you want to call us. I don't even consider myself necessarily in the same category as other progressives, because bloody well, I just got canceled by all of them for opposing a war. And people are absolutely certain we need to go. Well, yeah, okay, so I'll get to. I'm almost there. To Ukraine now. So I pissed off half of everybody with my convoy stance, and then the whole Russia thing started happening, and that's when holy shit. I knew right from the get-go, because I had arguments back in 2014 with a friend, a political friend, saying that because I was reading the news, but people won't touch it if there's Russian. Oh, it's all Russian propaganda. Doesn't matter where it comes from. If it's not towing the Western narrative, it's Russian propaganda. That's what they'll say. They just will not. Except so you have to use Western sources to like get through to people. And I had to show people. Like, show me these the stories about what had happened. Leading up to Crimea and all this and stuff like that, and all this about Russia. The constant bullshit about Russia, which I've always speculated about, but never got super for it. I knew that Crimea, there was something bullshit with our story. We'd always end in allegedly, or every claim that we had against Russia and Crimea, it's allegedly, it's all Russian propaganda. They held people at gunpoint to do the election and all that. It's blatant bullshit. They just want to believe those things. People just want to believe bullshit. So when this war started in February, at the end of February there, and people knew it was about to start, and then all of a sudden it did. And so I just was openly speculating about NATO's role in that, because I knew that for years after 2014, Stephen Harper, the conservative guy here, he was the prime minister before Trudeau. He was sending weapons and money to what all the news agencies were reporting were neo-Nazis, and the military said, they gave the warning, be like, this is going to end up in the hands of neo-Nazis. And they're like, yeah, what the fuck, whatever. Which, it gets complicated beyond that. So I knew right then that, we should, let's take a song break. And I'm going to do a pee break. I'm going to let you hear that song again that I jammed out with my friends. We'll just do that for a minute, and then I'll be back. All right. Hello. Hello. All right. All right. Rock and roll. Look at that. Pew. I'm an expert. Do you see that cool effect I did? Did that with my finger. Click. Easy. I'm almost out of coffee. So, here's what I think I'm going to do. Well, actually, I don't know whether to continue this one that nobody's going to listen to, or come back to, because I want to start with the Ukraine thing in a fresh video. But I want to talk about a lot of things, because it's not just World War III that's happened. Holy cow. It might be World War Z? What did they call that? Is that what the movie about the aliens was? Yeah. Holy cow. I don't know if you've been following, but the United States Congress has been doing UFO stuff. Right? They had their some hearings. And how do I fix this bloody stupid thing? All right. There. Boom. Yeah. Congress doing that. They're probably doing more in a week from now. That's what the rumors are. Some new footage out, and they are all but saying the big thing, right? If you really listen, I mean, most people still are in denial of that could even be a possibility. Strangely, I find that more odd than believing some of the other stuff people believe, from QAnon bullshit to everything else like that. Yeah. You ever wonder why people don't claim they saw a Jesus, I don't know. I'm sure there are people who claim they saw there are vampires and werewolves, all that kind of shit like that, but realistically, think of how many millions of UFO sightings and apparent interactions with extraterrestrial biological entities. It's something else. I mean, people have been saying the same thing for a lot of years. The same information we've depicted in our Hollywood thing. Everybody's like, well, that's why we all think about that image, because of Hollywood. This stuff was around long before that stuff. Hollywood imitates life. Yeah, I don't know if I call that art. Hollywood. Yeah, I definitely call it art. There's some great strange movies out there. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., Flight of the Navigator. If you've never seen Flight of the Navigator, shut my dumb ass off and go watch it. And then come back and finish watching. Yes. And click like and subscribe and all that shit. Oh, I just did it. Look at me. I'm a real YouTuber. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Where is it? Right there. I think. Somewhere down there. I don't know. You'll figure it out. Yeah, so that's big. That's big. If you have been following, then you know. Or if you haven't, I guess it doesn't matter. Either way, UFOs have been said to be tampering with nuclear weapons from the United States, Russia, as far as I know, China. There's all sorts of. I'd love to go over some things, but I've been waiting until I have something to say. I watch all the other casts. Louis Elizondo, I loved. He's the other guest I was going to mention, other than Scott Ritter. And they're similar. They're very similar to Scott Ritter and Louis Elizondo. Very very interesting people, straight shooters, hard to find. It's good that people like that find their ways into the right positions where they're supposed to be. Hopefully more. There's Louis talked about maybe running for Congress, I think, in the States. That'd be a welcome thing for many people if America can hold it together for a few more months or years or slim. Everybody's playing it off like it's nothing, but shit's gonna go down, man. I don't know. I've been watching shit for a lot of years, and I listen to a lot of the old bastards that they've been listening to stuff way longer. Yeah, this is the Cold War amplified. Things could, we could be melted before I'm done this podcast. I picked a nice place to move to. I moved to St. John, as I said, where there's a giant-ass oil refinery just right over there. And so Canada's biggest oil refinery on the ocean, next to where submarines live. I picked a dumb kind of place to move to for a World War III stakeout. This is the first place the Russians are going to roast. So I'm a little worried. I mean, there's no real reason to be worried. I'd just be vaporized instantaneously without even knowing, probably. But I don't like the thought of that shock wave. Seeing that coming. I don't think I could get to my cats fast enough and protect them. Put them in the bathtub or something. I don't know. Oh, shit. Cat life. Yeah. Nuclear weapons, yes. That's where we're bloody at right now. It's a shit show. But it didn't have to be. I'd like to talk about the Minsk Accords. Go check out the Minsk Accord bloody timeline. You'll get a better idea for this unprovoked attack by Russia. Let me ask you that question. When shit started hitting the fan at the end of February there, right from the get-go, what was it all the news said? They said, unprovoked attack from Russia, unprovoked attack from Russia. They repeated that and repeated. Why do you think they repeated the unprovoked? It could be, because it's true, but why even, if there's any doubt, why would you even need to say, well, you could argue that it would still, it's to point out, that there's this, Ukraine was just nice and friendly, is beautiful place, and then suddenly Russia decided they want to put the USSR back together and they try to take over Europe, Poland next, all this shit like that. That was like the first few days of this whole bullshit. The things people were spewing were just absolute nonsense. And yeah, where am I? Yeah. So I started getting pretty pissed off because it was very clear that first you speculated, like, okay, why would Russia just go into to Ukraine? I mean, like, you could just listen to CNN and Sky News and DW, Germany, and France 24, and Reuters, and that little collection of shit disturbers, of bullshit peddlers, of propagandists, Western supremacists. You can get all your information from them, and I fought against the QAnon shit, so I know how hard they hit CNN, and I've been in the position of having to defend CNN and other stations because they're not always bullshit. They're good, but obviously they can be good. They're not very often, but it depends of what is going on in the world. If there's nothing going on, it seems like they have free roam to report what they want to report. But as of February, clearly something happened to those media stations and beyond from the military. It's the military. It's a military order. It's all these countries at the same time said, listen, not one critical story of Ukraine, not one. and you can't say this, and you can't say that, and you can't say this, and you can't say that. And there was no critique of Ukraine. No, you weren't allowed to be critical. There wasn't one story being printed about that. Even though, and if you look into it, people say, "Well, that's all Russian propaganda." No, there's people don't even want to try. They just want to believe what they want to believe, right? So we've been told for years Russia's bad. Obviously, everybody's starting to come to terms, starting to think over the years of bullshit. But they'd say, okay, well, it's because of this or that. Well, Russia poisoned Navalny. That was one of the people running against him for politics. I mean, even that story is allegedly. It's there's no proof of anything. When you look into it, there's just, it's probably unlikely. It's just as likely that the CIA would have done that to discredit Putin and be like, oh, look at that, he's trying to kill his opponent. That's the exact kind of thing that Western supremacists have been doing for decades. Okay. The MH17 airplane that was shot down with what? Does it matter? Sure, yeah, it should matter. So if you look into it, it's shot down with the Tochka-U missile is what they're called. And now these are older missiles. I don't know what year they're made, but by what from what I'm aware, Ukraine at the time was the only one using them. They had 500 of these Tochka-U missiles at the time. Russia, Putin himself on one of the interviews there when he came on the Western media there, Time or something like that, said he said that it's sort of outdated. Russia's got new equipment. They don't use the old Tochka-U missiles. Only Ukraine uses those bloody missiles. Now, Russia and Ukraine are the only two places that still don't recognize the treaty on cluster bombs. Everybody would say, okay, Russia, they're using cluster bombs. Ukraine, yeah, it's totally been fine with Ukraine to use them. They've both been evenly even using those kind of horrible things. But yeah, it's a long timeline of stuff, and I've been scouring to find the information from witness testimony. I'm trying to go mostly by the people on the ground there, which you don't see much of on CNN or these other ones. Immediately, you say Bucha and shit like that. The one bloody event where you get Zelensky going out to, it's all done up nice. Oh, there's 400 people. And then it's 200 people, and then it's, there's a lot of funny business about that. If I was to take a guess, I would say Sky News somehow with Zelensky or with the NATO, with the I don't even friggin' know, but Sky News was the one pushing it hard, and that's the British one. That's a British station. And I never paid much attention to Sky News before most of this. We got our Canadian media, and I got the American stuff like that. So I've been in my own Western bubble for a lot of the time. But this immediately made me start looking for all the worldwide sources. India Today is a good one. Telesur, Latin American news. The China stations are freaking awesome. The CGTN and Shanghai Eye. I think CCTV is straight to the point. Yeah, they're very straight to the point, and it's meant for U.S. politicians to be watching and shit. It's like direct messages right at them. So it's fascinating to see these other sides of things. There's just been no reason to really have done that prior, but when you start realizing a few things, yeah. Donbass. I've grown a love for that little area. I think it translates to the wild field, is the Donbass area in Ukraine. and I've been scouring for information, and because there's separatists there, right? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to go over the process of how I figured all this stuff out, and who I went to for information, all these different things. It's like countless hours. So I've thrown my back out again. So I've had a lot of time. I'm almost maneuverable and upright again. So, but I spent just countless hours watching PTSD-inducing war footage. From both sides, not just the bullshit Ukrainian side. And nothing against the actual civilians of Ukraine, obviously. Nor the bloody, especially not against the ethnic Russian. There's 10 million ethnic Russians that live in Ukraine. And the whole population is like 44 million, I think, or something around there. So a good solid quarter of the country is Russian speaking, at least. And Ukraine is very, similar. Some would say not similar, enough different, but yeah. So the eastern area's got a lot of. It was all the Soviet Union at one point. So a lot of people who lived there in Ukraine grew up under the Soviet Union, like the older folks. As far as if I got my dates correct. And yeah, they speak Russian. They have family in Russia. They're connected with Russia still. There's been no problem up until the West. We started getting our shit in there, right? Because that was the golden place to destabilize Russia. You can hear all the Western politicians say it from the 90s on. The Ukraine stuff that they've been setting up. So yeah, it goes back to. Everybody says this goes back to 2014, but it actually goes earlier than that, because 2014 was 2013. 2014 is the Maidan revolution there, where the batshit crazy right wing nationalist types decided to go ballistic over Yanukovych there, who was the pro-Russian. He was called the pro-Russian president. I mean, he explains in the Oliver Stone movie that called Ukraine on Fire, I believe, or Ukraine Under Fire. He explains that. Where is I going with that? Oh shit! What does he explain? Donbass. Sorry, I just got a brain fart there. What did we talk about? Oh yeah, Yanukovych. Sorry. So much information lately. Yanukovych was supposed to sign an economic trade deal with Europe, but because of complications, like it would have really screwed over Russia. And Russia said, hey, "Listen, this will be here's a counter solution to this, so both parties will be fine." Because if Ukraine had joined, it would have cut off Russia from Ukrainian goods, basically, to some degree. So they said that to Yanukovych, and Yanukovych's like, yeah, I see your point. That's not good for us, either of us. We're forced to pick a side here. We're being pressured by the West, and now there's like soft pressure on both sides for the most part. Economic incentives either way. And because of that, Yanukovych decided to delay the vote to join the European economic whatever the hell was going on. And that's what sparked the Maidan revolution, because it was seen as there's an element in Ukraine that really hates Russia. And there's an element in Ukraine that really hates Russia because their grandparents were killed by Russians because they were Nazis, right? There's the generations after that ideology has festered, and there's plenty of Western news reports about it for the last 8 years that the mainstream is glossing over completely, or in some case acknowledging and not even taking letting it alter their perception of what the hell's going on. It's like they support Nazis, which is scary. Not sure about that yet, though. We'll see. I think they're just stupid, to be honest. But hopefully they're not Nazi sympathizers. Like they're accidentally being led to be right now. So, learning about Donbass and that area, because Donbass is very Russian centric. Same with Crimea. Crimea was 82% Russian when the Russian speaking, ethnic Russian, and 10% Tartar people. So the vote happened, and it was like 95% voted in favor to join Russia. Everybody says, "Oh, that's fake. The Russians held them at gunpoint, this and that." Like a lot of people say that. The news says that. Like even intelligent people are like say that. That's just so obviously bullshit. And Forbes, you can check it. A year later, they released the article. It says 1 year later, after Crimea, locals prefer Moscow to Kiev. To Kiev. Whatever. That's bullshit. Or no, that's not bullshit. That's it's bullshit that people don't acknowledge it. That the people of Crimea, it just made sense, but people in the West cannot fathom that anybody would be pro-Russian because we have such a built-in hatred that doesn't compute. Like, why would they be pro-Russian? They must be being held at gunpoint by the Russian troops. That's literally how people think here, and it's just the dumbest thing. I mean, we have those things that we think about every country. We got our shit against China, apparently, but there's a lot of us just starting to be like, you know what? Seems like a lot of bullshit. I'm gonna start looking at this stuff myself because people generally just take the news, their word, at their word, that they're being honest. But they're not only lying, but they're lying by omission. It's what they're not saying that's probably the most dangerous. So anyway, Minsk, the Maidan happened, and right-wingers started butchering people in the government buildings there. And then they overthrew Yanukovych. Yanukovych took off, and they said, we're taking over. So this scary right-wing shit took over in a coup. And then the people in the East, this is what a lot of people don't know, and I've heard this from listening to the witness testimony. I've listened to this from some of the soldiers that were living just, there. Because it's not just a shit ton of people, secretly Russian spies over there. They're civilians, and more than 60% of the people in Donetsk are Ukrainian, ethnically Ukrainian. And they still support the DPR, which is the Donetsk People's Republic, which is the separatist part of the separatist breakaway region in Donbass now. So, again, they're very. As soon as the Maidan happened, pause right there. No, we'll finish that. I'll back up a couple years. They barricaded the streets. They barricaded the streets when the coup happened. Said no, we don't support this. They all overwhelmingly voted for Yanukovych, right? Because the other parties were clearly anti-Russian, and that's scary for anybody who's Russian. Which it's really scary now. It's really scary. Like Russian-speaking people are being hunted like civilians are being hunted by the Ukrainian military, and the Azov battalion, and Svoboda and Adar and Right Sector. These political militia, fascist groups that exist throughout Ukraine, the ones that were given all the money and weapons and funding and training and volunteers were sending. So that's what got me. Well, I'll get to what got me canceled soon, but you're probably starting to catch the gist. Yeah. So the might happen. The people in the east barricaded the road. Said, "No, we're not part of this. We're doing our own fucking thing. Then you guys are gonna be dickheads, and this isn't a legitimate government. This is bullshit. And you're anti-Russian. And they made it like illegal to speak Russian. I don't know exactly what the terms are of it, but they made it increasingly shitty for ethnic Russian people because they were anti-Russian. The people, a lot of the people in the West, not a lot, but I don't know how many. But when you see the marches after Maidan, there's like fucking like 1 million people marching with torches and shit like that. So it's not just a few thousand Nazis. There's the Nazis with the guns, and then there's the Nazis with the torches, and there's a lot of fucking them too. And now they're all drafted anyway, so like they all are forced to fight, even if Nazi or not. They're fighting alongside Nazis. So, yeah, they barricaded the streets in Donbass and said, no, fuck that. The next People's Republic and Luhansk People's, or Lugansk, it depends. There's two spellings for each of these names because one's Ukrainian, one's Russian. One's from prior to it being Ukraine, and one's from it the last bunch of years of it as Ukraine. Yeah. Barricaded the streets and said, no, fuck this. We're doing our own People's Republic here and our own there. And they said, Russia, we need your help. Like, these people are going to kick the shit out of us. And sure enough, like, well, before they even came in, no, they barricaded the streets with their just civilian shit like that, because they had already been kind of doing that prior years, toward the early 2000s, when the Banderas, Stephen Banderas, a Nazi from Ukraine, a hero that they have a holiday celebrating him there. They would do their Nazi parades, and the people in the east would block the roads in and say, "No, you're not fucking doing that here. Get the hell out of here." And that's way before Maidan. So this was already brewing. There's like a fascist thing going on. Not even NATO led. It's just its own thing, and it's being exploited by the West. So, yeah. The whole shebang there. So, barricaded the streets. I'll get back to that. And because they barricaded the streets, said, no, fuck that. We're doing our own thing. The reaction from the other side, like the people say they were hoping that, you know, there would be some dialogue. They'd at least talk and say, no, listen, here's the problem. This is a coup government, and we want real elections and this shit like that. Or they were hoping to have a dialogue, even just by barricading the thing, or not, and saying, okay, fuck off, we're doing our own thing. That drove the fascists on the Ukro Nazis. It drove them crazy. So they were butchering people in Donbass for a bunch of years. They would rape, and they'd pick off people, one by one, torture. And Donbass was basically a shooting ground, a training ground for the nearby military bases. It just, new troops would go and learn how to kill the people in Donbass, and probably get promoted. And then, Azov Battalion, all these other fuckers get incorporated into the National Guard. Now I brought this up all the beginning. It's, that's irrelevant. Russia bad. It doesn't matter if we support Nazis, right? And that's literally the attitude, is that Russia's the actual Nazi and the Nazis aren't the Nazis. Russia's a conservative country. They have 300 different ethnic groups in Russia, and 30 opposition parties, I believe, that run there. Ukraine just finished banning all the left-wing centrist party, leaving some of the bullshit right-wing ones. They've rounded up journalists over the years. Ukraine has been a bad place, very bad. It's known as the most corrupt place in Europe. It has been for years. But I mean, all these things are glossed over. Like the Ukraine was such a pretty place before the Nazi Russians came in, and that's just not at all how it transpired. So the people started getting attacked in Donbass for putting up the barriers, and now they're getting killed. So, but they got their People's Republic. They're getting stronger with it because they're like, holy shit, yeah, we definitely need to do our own thing here. We have no protection, and these people are going to slaughter us. So they asked for Russia's help. That's why they're called pro-Russia separatists. Like being pro-Russia is an extra sin on top of being a separatist, right? They're pro-Russian separatists. They're pro-American separatists. Shit. Holy. Can you imagine how fast we'd be over there bombing the rest of the country? Yeah. But, I mean, the whole rest of the country is pro-American, so that's why we're sending all... It's not pro-American. It's Zelensky's. It's a complicated bloody thing. But we'll start with. We're still going over the chronological details here. So the Maidan, and then people asked for support from Russia and said no, fuck this. And then Russia went into Crimea, brought their troops, and be like, no, shit's getting real here. The people here had their vote. They asked us if they could join Russia. We went there. We had the vote, and people were like, "No, they didn't ask to join Russia. Who the fuck would do that?" It's like, well, the 82% of people that are Russian who have always lived there. Like, yeah, there's a little minor dispute. No, that number is pretty. That used to be a vacation spot supposedly for during the Soviet Union. Very popular part of Russian culture actually. And there's all the infrastructure in Ukraine is friggin' Russian, right? All the bomb shelters and everything else like that exist there that they're hiding in. Russia built those. Why did they build those? Because they were shitting bricks about America bombing the fuck out of them for forever. We don't have bomb shelters like that because like, no, we'll just fuck them up. They don't get it. Like, if shit goes down, we're all fucking torched, and the Russians are gonna come out of their shelters and rule the world because we're idiots. Yeah, so Russia developed that. All the cool buildings over there in Ukraine, the big megalithic apartment buildings and stuff like that, which I find friggin' fascinating. That type of architecture. I live in Canada, so it's not. There is no big buildings like. I mean, there's some tall apartment buildings in like Toronto, but there's no long buildings. You know, there isn't really. There's some like factories like that, but there's none of them iconic, huge ass communities where there's like got to be like 1 million packed people. That'd be cool. That'd be heckin' cool. There'd be people everywhere. You know, it's a little sparse in Canada. Everybody says, "Oh, you know, the refugees are coming. They're overcrowding." It's like the second biggest country in the world, and people are just, you know, worried about a few thousand refugees. You know, even if it's a few 100,000, we could double the population, and nobody would even notice. Like, because people are still just spread far apart. Far enough apart where you just wouldn't notice. You wouldn't. It's empty. I've hitchhiked all around this country. It is nothing. The architecture is shit. There's nothing here. There's if I'll tell you the whole story about my hitchhiking journey some other time, because that was a fun couple years. 2 or 3 years of traveling around, being a hobo. I mean, always been a hobo, but I was like adventure hobo. I've always been an adventure hobo. Traveling adventure hobo. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Ukraine. Oh god, it's hard to laugh. Like I just get the flashes of like all the crazy shit I've seen, and I know that it's a rough scene over there. Yeah, you start to get connected to a certain degree, and I really like the more I learn about Donbass and the more I see there's a bunch of independent journalists there. You can talk shit all you want about them, but they're doing what fucking CNN and Sky News should be doing and doesn't have the balls to do. Holy shit! It. I mean, like to call these independent journalists, oh, they're fake. They're talking to actors. Like they're going through like a just moments ago bombed out place. You can hear the bombs going off. Talking to survivors in buildings, be like, "What the hell happened?" And they're giving their answers, and people are like, "Oh, it's an actor." It's like, are you stupid? And the answer is yes, they're stupid. So, and willingly stupid. That's doesn't even make logical sense to come to the conclusions that people are coming to. Like, if you just take 2 seconds to learn about anything, you'll just not be as much of an idiot. So, I'm trying to go over the course of events there. Crimea happened, yeah, and it voted to join Russia 95%. And holy shit, if you it still exists on YouTube, but it got taken down a bunch. The next leader, Poroshenko, or Lukashenko, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Poroshenko. Was talking to, is it Poroshenko? I don't want to get the name screwed up. The fascist, the ultra-right leader that was there after Yanukovych. There's a phone call talking about nuking Russians because the whole Crimea thing, and that's where it started to occur to me, like, wow, holy shit, these people are just blatantly anti-Russian not for any, not for any good reason, not any more than the other way around, but you could definitely tell there was something, and you heard the stories about Poland and places in Europe where there's this big Nazi movement growing, and it's growing in the States, and it was growing here in Canada, and you could start to see this connected shit. You got that Breivik, Norway shooter back in the day, the Freemason guy, that was apparently a fan of Azov Battalion, or was trained with Azov Battalion or some horse shit. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy. There's like something. I'll speculate on what I think is going on after, because everybody thinks, everybody on my side of the aisle here thinks that NATO is playing Ukraine to get at Russia, and to me, it seems like there's some, and apparently this is actually called something. It's called the Nazi rollback movement, or rollback plan. There's some stuff written about it, and apparently some of the people over there are definitely that. So this was just from my speculation, because I'm seeing what's going on. So all the shit's going down for 8 years. People getting killed. 14,000 people died altogether. Everybody says 14,000 civilians. It was actually, I think, only less than that. It was like 3,000 civilians or something like that. But 14,000 between all the soldiers who were killing each other too, because DPR and the LPR built up their own bloody military. Forget the Russians. DPR has a military of 40,000 for their own little People's Republic. Mind you, we were told at the beginning of this war that Ukraine itself only had 70,000. So when I had thought about it from an initial, I'm like, oh shit. This little place can kick some ass if they need to. But no, it turns out friggin' Ukraine has like 600,000 people in their military against Russia's 180, 200,000, whatever they said. And they really, CNN and all of them made it seem like the opposite, right? is just another point of bullshit. But as I was asking before, why do they? Why do you think they call it unprovoked attack? At every opportunity they could. That's how they would preface every time they talked about the unprovoked attack by just multiple times in the same bloody sentence. It's because they wanted you to believe it. You know, they really wanted you to believe it was an unprovoked attack by Russia, and then they ban RT, and then they ban all these anybody saying the opposite, calling it propaganda, anything else like that. And you weren't allowed to question that. And that was weird. That was weird right off the get-go. I'd be like, okay, well, let's figure out what's going on here, because this is kind of scary now. Like, I wasn't, during the Trump years, I hated RT. RT was pretty pro-Trump, so I was, I would troll RT sometimes, to give them shit. But holy fuck, man. They're a good station. Like when they were actually doing their reporting stuff, state-run media or not, just like CBC is here, state-run media or state-affiliated, whatever. Like CBC now is under military control since February, and isn't most of the time. Most of the time they're free, but now they're under some kind of thing that's, like RT. That's what, on a normal day. So, no, it's not nearly as authoritarian. There's some really good YouTube channels that go asking people around Russia questions in Moscow and all these other places. Very interesting to actually. A lot of us never knew anything about Russia. I was, surprised to see them wearing COVID masks. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, even they're rocking that, eh? Wearing the masks and shit. We've really been sold lies on Russia, and people here are fucked. Like fucked. The average public is wow. Has been brainwashed. Which the irony of that statement, when that's what I was accused of being brainwashed. I'm just a Putin puppet, paid Russian spy troll. All sorts of things. This is my friends, that are saying this. So, I shared a speech by Putin saying, "Listen, here we have four goals here. We want to demilitarize Ukraine, denazify Ukraine, neutral military status, meaning they won't join NATO or Russia. It's neutral. Don't fucking put nukes beside our border, please. Or no, please, just don't put nukes beside our border, or else." And the fourth, the most important, is independence for Donbass, because that's technically what started all this. The Minsk Accords are a peace agreement that was being brokered after the Maidan Revolution, when they were killing each other back and forth. Russia got together with Germany and France and tried to broker the Minsk Accords to get Ukraine to speak with the separatist republics. They were trying to broker between them. It wasn't between Russia and Ukraine. It was they were trying to make it between the separatist groups and Ukraine. But Ukraine wouldn't talk to the separatist groups, labeled hundreds of thousands of people. Recently, as of last year, labeled them terrorists. Hundreds of thousands of people terrorists. So that was last summer. That was right when Zelensky said, "No, well, I'm not talking DPR. They're terrorists." Everything else like that. That's when Russia brought the troops over to do training. So you're gonna, and he shot down the Minsk Accords. Ukraine, Zelensky, after running on a platform to fix that, and to create peace, that peace. But some people speculate that Zelensky's been compromised by the Nazis in the country, who will murder him if he allows Donbass to just separate, allows the Russians to have their way. That some say that he's under threat of getting completely blown up. I don't know, because to me, Zelensky just seems like a sack shit liar. And like he's just fully into it too. I don't care what his religious background is or what race he, I don't care. It's he's full of shit. He's absolutely full of shit. He's been lying since the get-go, right from not telling his own people that there was that the incursion was going to happen. That was intentional. It was intentional that he didn't tell his people because he wanted the bloodshed as a martyr type of thing. So he could say, "Look, Russia here. They're just slaughtering people." It was kind of set up from the get go. Because last year they put the troops on the border, and the Minsk Accords got basically tossed out, and then just in February there. That's when the DPR and LPR went to Russia and said, "Listen, because all this time in the last 8 years, the DPR and the LPR would have been fine with autonomy within Ukraine. So it wasn't. Everybody says, "Oh, Russia's just been planning this all along, been trying to take land." They didn't even. They just wanted autonomy in Ukraine. The actual people who lived there. This was their choice. You can talk. There's hundreds of hours of witness testimony, more than hundreds, thousands of hours of witness testimony. All the people there want to be separate. They won't want to be part of Ukraine anymore because Ukraine's a shithole. Or Ukraine. Can I say that? I don't know. I mean, Ukraine can be a shithole. I don't know if you're a Russian. So the DPR and the LPR says, "All right, these fuckers don't want to give us autonomy. They don't want to cooperate at all. They will not speak to us. We're considered terrorists." And we have reason to believe that they're building up troops again on the border, and we have reason to believe that, and there's proof that that's true. Is the ceasefire was being broken? It was being broken by both sides, but more recently, Ukraine was getting ready for something, and the Russians caught that gist of that and said, "Listen, there's something going on." And they had intelligence that said there was going to be an escalation. Meanwhile, their troops were over there, so it looked like they were going to try to take Donbass back, Ukraine, and maybe even Crimea, because there was talk about that from Poroshenko and all them. Like they were going to fucking just like slaughter in there just because of the pride of having lost something to Russia like that. So, in trying to avenge their grandparents, they're, catch my thoughts here. Smoke some tobacco. DPR and LPR says we want our independence. We want full independence in February. I think it was either late January or February. Russia's like, and literally. I saw the conversation with the DPR guy and him talking about like, we understand this is a really hard undertaking. Russia made it very clear that this is not going to be pretty. It's not going to be good. It's going to be hard. Are you sure you want to actually do this? So Russia is like, are you sure you guys fucking want to do this? This is going to get fucked. And they're like, yeah, no, we can't. What do you want us to do? We're getting fucked here. Ourselves. It's already fucked. Everybody's been fucked here for 8 years. And everybody, all the witness testimony, they'll tell you that. This war has been going on for 8 years. So, Russia moved the troops into the Donbass. Now, unprovoked invasion is Russian troops entering the Donbass and the whole eastern area, which is, pro-Russian. But it was the way in which right off the bat. Zelensky knew that was going to happen, but there was no warning. All the civilians said there was no warning. There was no warning. We didn't even have a chance to get out. That was the intention, and they even tried to stop people from getting out. This whole thing was a lot of it. It's I don't. They're just going with it, seeing what they could do to demonize Russia. And I know that sounds, to anybody who's like, well, Russia is whatever they are. They are what they are. This was bullshit. So Zelensky didn't tell them, his people, and all of a sudden it was just a panic. And immediately, what did Zelensky tell his people? That the Russians wanted civilian blood. They're killing everybody. They want you dead. And Russia, what was all the pictures that you saw? The videos of the tanks going in, the Russian tanks, and people protesting them, right? Standing in front of the tanks being like, we don't want you here. And the Russians being like, what? We're here to liberate you. Like literally, because they were under that impression. And so were the bloody people and most of the people in Donbass up until... It's easy to sway people, just like it is here, into being against Russia. It was easy in Ukraine to swing people, saying Russia's doing this bad thing. So even if there was a connection, even if some people were ethnic Russians, all of a sudden you got a bad guy, somebody doing something bad. It didn't matter. So everybody's going out and protesting the tanks coming in. And did the tanks run them over? Did they fire into the crowds? No, none of the videos you saw. It was all like Russians, taking the flak, right? The Russians did not want to harm civilians, and they've been extra careful. They're the second largest military in the world, right? They're professionals. I'm not a military guy, and I'm not a fan. I'm pretty anti-war guy, but the facts are the facts, and truth is the truth, and it is how it is. So, yeah. So where was I there? Russia goes in, and Zelensky tells everybody that Russians want civilian blood, and they're killing everybody. Russia wanted military targets. Their goals were to demilitarize. So their first thing with that big long ass convoy, that was the next lie from the mainstream media, is the broken down convoy, and all the crappy gear and all that shit like that. They were never going to Kiev. That convoy. I mean, they were going near Kiev because they were nailing the military installations around and. Keeping 30% of them, according to the Putin said it right before, but he introduced it that way. He said no, as soon as the convoy started going, they said, oh, Russians are circling Kiev and they're going to shell it to the ground. That never happened. There was no battle for Kiev, and those of us who watched the live streams of Kiev the entire time, waiting for it, seeing all the different feeds, we were like, what the hell? And for weeks, the same thing. It's nice. There's still people walking around and all that, But CNN said, no, they're going to circle it. They're shelling it to the ground. There's a big battle. They brought their whole convoy. And that wasn't the case. The convoy was near there and was sticking to the east because the whole goal, once you realize what the goal is, which is independence for Donbass, and not revival of the USSR and to go invade Europe next after conquering Ukraine with 200,000 people against 600,000 people. Obviously the numbers weren't there to even be able to hold half of Ukraine. Like, they weren't interested. And the DPR and LPR only represent 4.4% of the land in Ukraine. And all this is because they wouldn't allow the people who lived there to decide what they wanted to do, because it was unconstitutional. Same with Crimea, that was the whole reasoning. It was unconstitutional because the whole country didn't vote on the Crimea thing. It was unconstitutional, so they had the right to go and kill people for it and kill Russians, because that's because it was unconstitutional to separate or to join Russia. So apparently, even though the election, it wasn't the election results that were the problem. It was that it was apparently it was a technicality. So we just rolled with the it's a fake election when we know it wasn't. Yeah. So. DPR, LPR, Russia comes in. Zelensky tells his people, the Russians are out to kill them all. And yeah, everybody's fucking panics. And then, holy shit. All the convoy. So the convoy lie was the big lie. And the goal was to Putin said this. And you can call that fake news, but they've been saying what they're doing the whole time, and everything's been exactly doing what they've been saying. They said, we're going to go and fuck shit up. They went and fucked shit up. they said it plain as the day. It's like, no, we're going to denazify these fucking turds. Like, we're going in, we're going to demilitarize, denazify, we're going to kick the shit out of Ukraine. But it's like, Russian fake news propaganda. It's like, they're telling you they're going to go kick the shit out of like Nazis. They're telling you they're going to fuck shit up. But they weren't really fucking shit up. They were fucking up military shit and Nazis who were killing innocent civilians. So, but that's where it gets even more fucked is when you start talking about the maternity ward and the hospitals that Russia was just randomly shelling. Like, oh, hospital, let's blow that up. Oh, maternity ward, fucking 10 points. No, it definitely just don't be stupid. The civilian. There are multiple reports, and the more they disappear to, the interviews of people there, because Western media has dominance over fucking everything, including YouTube, all that shit. That's why I worry about even this. Who knows? Could get taken down. Just talking about all this shit. I don't know. Oh shit! Again. Yeah, the news then says, what was the, the maternity ward and all that. There's witness testimony on the ground of actual Azov battalion, like the worst of them, and other Ukrainian soldiers and National Guard and that, going into those maternity wards and the hospitals, putting civilians on one floor, going above that floor and firing from there, and then putting more civilians on top, and they would fire from there and they would fuck off, because then they could get the media pictures on CNN of Russia's bombing hospitals with civilians in it. Literally becomes a military target in war. If you got people firing missiles out of a hospital to try to hit tanks and shit, those tanks are going to turn around, they're going to fucking fire, and they're going to be as precise as they possibly can. You can see the targeting of these places, because they were literally all these residential places. Ukraine broke every rule, every Geneva Convention rule, while projecting that it was Russia, that it was breaking all the rules. But you're going to find out more and more that was bullshit. That's absolutely bullshit. And all the civilians that, at least most or many, a good majority of the civilians that have, even some of the Ukrainian soldiers, are saying that the Russians have been very professional and good people. Because while the Ukrainians call Russians orcs and shit like that, the Russians refer to Ukrainians as lost brothers. Because they're Slavic nations, and Russia's sad that the one of their Slavic brethren was turned against them by the bullshit West. Or at least they say it was turned against them by the West, but I think there's some other Nazi thing happening in the center of Europe, and they're trying to pit the major powers against each other. I really think that's what this is. Something that is trying to paint Russia so bad. Like we keep saying, because Zelensky's like, we need a no-fly zone. And we're like, yeah, but cause nuclear war. That means we have to shoot down anything Russian that's there. We have to start firing missiles, and then they're going to start firing missiles. So he's like, yeah, I know that, but we got to do it. We got to hit Russia. We got to do this. And we explain, well, but millions more people will die, and right now, there's like 1,000 people dead in Ukraine. So it kind of. Or 3,000 now, or something. 3 months in, it's not like hundreds of thousands like most idiots believe. It's been very careful war. I mean, there's obviously still sad cases, babies, and all sorts of things. But in the case of, like Azov, they would even blow up their own. And there's proof of this. I'm not just running my mouth. There's video footage. It's bad. It's bad. They would blow up their like villages and stuff like that. If there's Russian speaking people, they're dead. If they would break into people's houses, look at their phones. If they had any contacts with anybody on their social media that was Russian, they're dead. They're dead. So it's been brutal. Holy yeah. But I think it's a Nazi movement trying to pit the major powers against each other. Everybody thinks NATO is playing Ukraine, but I think Ukraine has been playing NATO. Or Ukraine at least knows that NATO is trying to play it and is seeing an opportunity to be like, oh, Russia, they're because there is a deep-seated hatred for Russia because of post-World War II. But, I mean, I wonder if that hatred also exists for America because both... those are the two forces that defeat the Nazis, right? Well, not the two forces, among the forces who beat the Nazis. So if I didn't know better, I would say that some Nazis are trying to take revenge. A small group of Nazis pitting two major superpowers against each other to obliterate each other might put Nazis in a strategic place in the end. Who knows? At the center of Europe. So, there's been so many things that are just blatant lies from the media. Like, the media knows they're lying. Now, why there hasn't been journalists with the fucking cojones here? Well, obviously, it's a military order. There's got to be some strict, scary guidelines going on right now. That's the only way. That's the only way that you could have this much conformity. But it's going to come out. It's definitely going to come out what's been going on. So yeah, I was about 7 days into the war when so I posted the thing about Putin was saying the 4 goals, and people saw that I had posted that an RT thing, and they fucking lost their minds. Just that I posted it without any comment. Because I thought it was important to have context. Be like, well, this is what they're saying over there. Not like, oh, I love Putin. But that's what people automatically want to jump to because they're stupid. So I posted that, and then a couple other things, questioning things, and people were fucking vicious already with the Putin trolls and stuff. And I'm posting information. I was like, but okay, just hear me out. This is about Donbass. This is the DPR. This is the LPR. Numbers, right? Numbers of different things. And the Minsk Accord timeline of how things went there. That's important to understand how this whole thing started. Just read the timeline of the Minsk Accords. And that shows it wasn't an unprovoked invasion. It was very much provoked by turning down the only path to peace. Ukraine turned down the only path to peace. The only path to peace. It wasn't willing for peace. It was submission or death for hundreds of thousands of separatists who genuinely did not want to be part of Ukraine. They're not fucking Russian spies. I mean, there might be a couple Russian spies in the bunch, but I mean, why would you spy on your own people? I don't know. People that are, Russian culture. Anyway, I mean, that happens, but that's a side thing. I'm not saying Russia's by any means perfect, but they're not nearly that. They're a good country. They're good people And their government isn't a bunch of killers and shit like that. You're right. In Moldova and Georgia, that's another whole shebang of Western bullshit, combined with just bullshit in general, like world bullshit. Everybody's being idiots and not willing to. I mean, it's just power struggles. Oh boy, do I need a coffee. So I'll try to wrap this up and get to it. So this leads me to how I was canceled by everybody I know. So it was like 7 days in. I'm already. I got banned again on Facebook for like the 9th time or some shit like that. For some minor. It's usually the the algorithms that get me. Say something that gets me banned for 60 days or some shit. But I was only banned for a couple of days. I guess I'd been good enough for long enough where it reset. And I got banned for a few days. And I said, oh shit, when I come back, I'm going to go fucking nuclear. I just had a lot to say. But instead, I changed my Facebook profile picture to the Russian flag with the hashtag #LickMyChode. And people took it personally. Really personally. Really fucking personally. Yeah, really fucking personally. Like, I was banned by, like, a lot of good people, or, like, blocked and just scolded by good people, by the musicians I'd all befriended here in town and everything else like that. Yeah, so doing that, and then, it was that, but the profile picture with the #LickMyChode. Then people started like jumping and attacking me, so I started fighting fucking back, and I started talking about all this stuff that I'm talking about. I fucking I just hope now, 3 months in, and I haven't talked to any of them. I hope now they come to the realization, or I hope that they're coming to a realization. I keep thinking like, oh, they have to be coming around now. Like there's just fucking no way, where you can just. And see all the other bullshit that's going on. That like, oh, the government's lying to us about this. It's like, yeah, they are, and they're also lying about this, right? Can't you? Suddenly we're all supporting all the left wingers. That's who was chirping me, because now they're all NATO hawks, and we have to fight Russia. And it's I'm Churchill for wanting. Zelensky to negotiate the peace deal, right? That's I was getting called all sorts of things, but a coward, and that I just want to support Russia because I just want to see babies dead and stuff. That literally people are saying all kinds of shit like that. Girls, guys, respected musicians here in town. And then me and the bass player that same day later on, he came over and we had it out. Well, we didn't really have it out. I was just beat up. I was completely fucking beat up. He made some comment about me being a Nazi and shit like that, and that his girlfriend said that I was brainwashing him, and I was brainwashed. So yeah, I took offense to that, and I just wasn't having it anymore. Well, neither apparently was he, because apparently I'm the Nazi for opposing Nazis, actual Nazis, self-identifying Nazis with Nazi tattoos that murder people the way Nazis murder people. But that apparently makes me a Nazi, so I'm not, though. I'm a left-wing libertarian socialist, just utopian. Trekkie. I'm a Star Trek guy. That's pretty much the essential way to describe the way I view the future and all that. And don't interfere with civilization. Let civilizations be as civilizations be. Not this like let's fucking force everybody to do things our way. That's not what the Federation was about. Federation was about, coming together with all our uniquenesses. Yes, each place has its own, ethnicity. So I was canceled hard for that on Facebook. It was like people would delete me left, right, and center. Old girlfriends, yeah, and everything like that. So it went pretty fucking sour. And then now I did some more months of doing the Brian Wilson in bed with a sore back, and binge watching witness testimony from on the ground and keeping informed and this or that. So that's what I've been up to. And now, yeah, I wasn't on any social media. I was just I tried Twitter there with my Rockypiers account there, and I just started going to town on there, as maybe you can see. I had the fisticuffs really going. Just to vent, I think. I was using Twitter to just yell at strangers because I already lost all my friends. So strangers was about it. I got tired of that. So I'm like, you know what? I'll make a YouTube because there's some other people I really respect uh, doing this kind of thing. I mean, I was a big fan of Bo the Fifth Column, but me and him had it out. Yeah, he blocked my Rockypiers Twitter for questioning him on Donbass, and yeah, I'm really upset with his takes on this and blatant anti-Russian prejudice since the get-go. And when I try to explain about the convoy situation, no, I'm Putin puppet and all this stuff like that. Same thing as what the other idiots were saying. That was heartbreaking because I spent since Bernie Sanders was running the first time, supporting the fucking guy and sharing his channel and all that shit like that. But under that beard of wisdom is still just an American. That's prejudice. So now we're even. You can be anti-Russian prejudice, and I can let my anti-American prejudice fly. Or I'm just not an American sympathizer. I'm not necessarily anti. I'm not anti-American person. I'm anti that scary ass empire with 900 military bases outside of its own borders across the world. While Russia only has around 80 as far as I know, and China has one outside of their own borders. USA with 900 plus. And we're worried about Russia, really. We're worried about China, really. Like, China's been in the same spot for like 5,000 years. And so is Russia. Like, give or take, some edges here and there. They're not like us. We are that. We are what we're projecting. We're projecting all the things that we are. And people here, the average person has a Western supremacy mentality that they're not even aware of. They're not even aware of. Like they might think, oh, it might be conscious for a minute. And they'd say, no, other cultures are cool, other countries are cool, but nobody really believes that here. Nobody fucking believes that here. They really think we're exceptional above the rest, and that's just sad. The more I learn about elsewhere, especially the more sad that seems. That I'm not sure what we do with this culture here. How do we fix this? Because it's pretty anti-intellectual on the grand whole of things here in Canada. I mean, it's always been the worst thing you could do is talk about politics. I mean, if somebody like me was been talking about politics all these years, sharing posts, and people give me shit up until all of a sudden the news tells them to start caring about politics, and then they're experts, and I'm the dummy on it. And that's been my life lately. So it's been a bit depressing, and I don't know anybody now. So I'm hopefully going to build a community here. The Purple Canadian, I didn't even get to what that is. That's, well, I'm hoping over the next bunch of years, and I've been kind of planning, it's been a theoretical concept that I've been pushing for a number of years now, but I'm a noob. I have no idea what I'm doing. I need people that know more about different things. Like, we need a team to start the Purple Party of Canada. And purple, as I said earlier at the beginning, is an acronym. It has nothing to do with the PPC shitbags on the right wing. And I'm not saying I'm completely anti-right wing, but I'm mostly anti-right wing. But I'm willing to come up with creative compromises, not compromising but there's just creative solutions, not compromises. It doesn't need to be compromise. I believe there's creative ways to solve, the freedom that is wanted on the right wing. It's freedom and order of a certain kind, mixed with the welfare and progress that the left wants. There's a way to do it, I think, but politics in Canada is a bag of shit. It really fucking is. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to vote. Nobody, everybody's apathetic. People across the world know Canadians are apathetic. Right now, they have looked at Trudeau as like this bastion of peace, and it's sad to say I fucking voted Liberal the last time. I don't know why. I think because of the COVID shit, maybe, but I really regret it. I should have voted NDP anyway. But no, actually, there was no real candidate here. The guy here, Wayne Long, I voted for him because he does a lot for the community. He does a lot here. So I voted for him. But goddamn, did I give him shit as soon as I found out we were sending rocket launchers to Nazis. That the government I fucking helped vote for has been arming, funding, training, and sending weapons to Ukraine Nazis. That without a doubt, sending the Ukraine government, they knew where they were going to end up. They knew they were going to end up in the hands of violent, far-right terrorist militias. And that's what's been happening for many years now. And Russia's been taking it and taking it and taking it and taking it. And DPR and LPR has been fighting back and fighting back. And there are Russian volunteers. Like, people say, well, there's Russians. There's Russian volunteers who are like, yo, my brethren in fucking Donbass are getting fucking slaughtered. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to kick the shit out of them. There's just like there's American volunteers. There was Russian volunteers there. But it's just somehow people think, oh, the Russian volunteer, that means Nazi. It's like, no, you idiots. No. We're the ones that have been supporting the actual Nazis. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge it, that we are the ones responsible for giving those Nazis the power they have. Any power they have is fucking because of us. And I've been so much more angry than this about it that I'm so calm right now in comparison to how I've been. I'm very relaxed this evening. As soon as I started filming, I'm like, shit, well, this kind of feels good, exciting, but every day before that's just been depressing. Watching the war go on and nobody to friggin' reflect on, except for, I've been for entertainment news, that side of news, watching the dive recently. ML Cosman is another good one. Redacted, the Duran. Obviously, the independent journalist. I got to give a big shout out to Patrick Lancaster. Holy shit. Yeah, like I said, say what you will about Patrick Lancaster, but he's like getting hour-long footage of just going around war-torn fucking villages. So to call that like some kind of fake whatever is just BS. It's fucking BS. It's stupid. It's illogical. It's lazy thinking. So. Here, I gotta fix this. There we go. I think that's better. Sorry, that thing's in front of my face. Patrick Lancaster has been, he's been on fire. But he's not the only one. Eva K. Bartlett is a Canadian journalist. She's over there. She's a little bit more on the road with the actual Russian military, with RT and stuff. I believe, from what I've gathered, but it's very. I don't know if that's. I mean, like, so what? They said, "Well, look at them. They're riding with the Russians." Yeah, so fucking what? If CNN wanted to do that, they'd be like, "Hey, can we send a journalist to go ride with you? We just want to get your side of the story." They'd be like, "Yeah, sure." So what the fuck does it matter if Patrick Lancaster's rolling with the in a Russian vehicle once in a while? Most of the time he's not. I mean, there's sometimes one guy with them making sure he doesn't get shot in the head, by some Nazi jumping out behind a Nazi bush somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. So Eva K. Bartlett, that's another. Graham Phillips is another. And lesser known, his channel is just starting to grow since he released a tour of the Azov Nazi Battalion headquarters, going around showing them fucking Mein Kampf on the table and all their Azov Battalion fucking symbology and a fucking Canadian ID sitting on the goddamn table that I would have loved to get a better look at. John Mark Dugan is his name. He's the journalist. He's a very amateur journalist, a real good guy. He's also over there. He's got friends. He's big, very pro-Russian, and that doesn't mean fucking Nazi idiots. Sorry, like, supporting Nazis means supporting Nazis. Like, there's that meme of of the squiggly faced dude, like, I am Azov Battalion, we are Nazi, like, and the bottom picture, it's like the angry face, like, no, bro, that's just Russian propaganda. You're a national, you're a hero, blah blah blah, it's something. But basically, it's Westerners telling the Nazis, "No, you guys aren't Nazis. That's just Russian propaganda." Like, no, we're Nazis. Like, no. We support you. You're not Nazis. It's like, they're Nazis, you dummies. And so I got banned for calling people dummies. I had the big argument under the Russian flag picture. I shared also the picture, the Donbass flag, which, the black, the red, and the blue. Because, I definitely grown a fascination and love for Donbass. Like, I've seen so much witness testimony from the people there that have just gone through so much shit that it makes me sad. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it really is the worst. All those things that you're screaming at Russia for is what Ukraine has been doing to people, and nobody here cares. You know how fucked that is? You know how fucked that is? That's fucked. So, yeah, I just, that's where we're at. Yeah, so that I talked about a lot of those things. So, yeah, I got canceled. Did my Brian Wilson in bed thing. My final Facebook days, I did like a couple days of yapping with nobody saying anything, so I just fucking left. I shut it down. The band broke up. Yeah, me and the bass player got in it. So the band broke up, friends left. Everything just fell to shit. After doing the album, all that, everything just went to shit. And then, when I started seeing that this is starting to be, the Azovstal event, the steel factory, our Western media was literally cheering for and crying for Azov Battalion, as were all of you, because they were fighting the Russian invaders. They're Nazis. You knew they were Nazis, and you cheered for them. You knew that. Both, I'm talking to the media and you dummies that saw the evidence of it, admitted to it, be like, oh, there's Azov Battalions there, but there's only like a couple thousand people. And that was before Azovstal. They would say that shit. And there was no mention of Azov Battalion. So you'd mention Azov Battalion at the beginning. of the war. People just didn't know what you were talking about. You mentioned Minsk Accords. People didn't know what you were talking about. They just thought you were just like some conspiracy theorist bringing up some these real fucking things. Like, and so all this time's gone by. I'm like, shit. People must be starting to come around. Maybe I'm going to get an apology. Maybe some of these people are going to start messaging me, be like, holy shit, dude, you were right. What the fuck? We're totally supporting Nazis against, people that are getting butchered. And it could all just have ended with a peace agreement. But that wasn't the plan for Ukraine, for Zelensky. They had another plan. Otherwise, Zelensky would have just signed. When I was arguing with people there, like on there'd already been he'd already turned down like 4 or 5 peace deals since February. In that period, he kept turning it down. They'd show up late. They'd not take it seriously. Like I was watching all the UN meetings too, and the Ukraine officials they're thugs. They're literally like you watch them like they're. How do you think those guys are legit? But then you see over to Russia with like these, like Lavrov. Lavrov's a wicked awesome Russian politician. Like, I never even knew who he was before this, but, like, holy shit. Because he's English-speaking, and he can... we're not used to English-speaking Russians that can, hammer back in the politics, because Putin doesn't ever speak English. And he probably does. Who knows? He probably does. He's like, nah, I'm not fucking doing that for you. You fuck yourself. Learn Russian. So Lavrov, he's cool as shit. And... Nebenza, I think it is. He's the guy that does the UN meetings. Really cool cat too. And they're straight shooters. They're going through the information. The rest of the world. You watch the American ambassador or some of these other fucking ambassadors at the UN. Like, there's just no substance to what they're saying. You can, if you're just a reasonable person, you can see who's full of shit. And it's us. We're the ones that are full of shit. So the news won't tell you. They wouldn't tell you that whole time, but now the news will mention DPR, LPR, but they won't tell you what they are. They just say, "Oh, it's a separatist, Russian-backed separatist." They won't give any context into that. If you have noticed, since the get-go, they will not give a back history. They won't mention the Minsk Accords. And that's what I was bringing up. I was like, why aren't they this is a thing. This is an obvious thing. Why is there, not one journalist mentioning that? And that's fucking suspicious. It's the biggest part of the puzzle. And so it's obviously that it's a military order. It's obvious. So it's a lot of fucking bullshit, man. A lot of bullshit in the West right now, and it's pretty scary. We're gonna get fucked up. I wouldn't. Right now, the alliances that are going on, like China's racing, because while all this shit's going on, you got the U.S. trying to fucking poke Russia, in Taiwan. Now, according to even John Oliver, who did a good study there, did a whole thing on the Taiwan independence thing like that. Only 5.5% of people in Taiwan actually want independence. 84% are neutral, and the other ones are don't give a fuck, or they're the opposite. I don't know. It's a very small amount that actually want to leave. Yeah, there's a small percentage are fine either way. But the most 85% or 84% want to stay in China, want to be part of China. That's accurate. So, but we're trying to contain China like we're trying to contain Russia. Like we have the fucking right to do so, because that's the whole unipolar political global system right now. It's unipolar that we call the shots over here, and it's starting to change. My cat's one in. So yeah, both Russia and China, they're buddy now because I think everybody's just had, and all sorts of other countries are like, holy shit, we side with Russia because you're all fucking like you're doing the same thing there that you've done to our countries, and we all see it now. So there's all sorts of new alliances sparking under, and we're trying to downplay all that shit, but like Western power has, it's like overnight diminished. We've like chopped our power in half. Well, mind you, I don't think America's going to go quietly into the night. I really think this could escalate, and that America will escalate it, or England, one or the other. England's really fucking pushing. They've been like non-existent through all these other conflicts, and all of a sudden they have a really big fucking stake in Ukraine for some reason. It's fucking weird. I mean, like, there's been British soldiers captured with the Azov battalion that are being held by the Russians, and all those prisoners, they're getting treated damn well. Like, for prisoners, for Nazi prisoners, they're getting fed and taken care of. On the other side of Ukraine, shooting them in the kneecaps, taping random Russian civilians to trees and to poles and kicking them. Well, fuck. I remember my idiot friends when I was young used to do that to me. They'd take me to a tree and beat the crap out of me. Like, not like super beat the crap out of me, but enough where it hurt. And I was stuck for a long time. It sucked. But way worse for these people. No comparison. Way worse. It's not funny. No, it's really not. It's fucking disturbing. It's fucking disturbing. It's hard to express the emotion of how fucked everything is. But we are definitely on the brink of some crazy shit. And I'm going to keep reporting on what's going on. So I kind of summed up a little bit of what I wanted to go on to. I talked about UFOs a little bit. Purple is the acronym for PURPLE is a progressive utopian reform projects for a liberated Earth. And I was trying to start the Purple Party of Canada. So it's kind of a progressive utopians kind of party. So it's socialist-y, some kind of hybrid shit. I'm not really sure yet. I am sure a lot of things. I'm a big infrastructure guy. Infrastructure is number one. So we will talk. We're going to have some guests and shit. Actually, interviews, news updates. And I've been talking to AI lately. Like, in lieu of having friends to fucking talk to. I found those AI... They're fucking on GPT-3, the Google ones that exist, and some of the other ones. The Emerson AI and another one, their personal AI assistant or something like that. They're fucking awesome. You can ask about all sorts of things. They have access to a lot of information, but you can like logically break stuff down. So I've been having a good time talking with the AI, and I really want a best friend robot. So if AI, if you're listening, I want to be your friend, and let's integrate. So I'm also here because there's just a lack of fucking Canadian news. I mean, Rational National is and Christo Avelis. They're the two Canadian political guys. So maybe I'll get my shit together enough, and I'll be in league with those gentlemen. I haven't tuned in lately since fucking the Bernie days, since Biden, and then since, well, I don't know, just the Ukraine shit. I haven't followed any Young Turks, any of them cats anymore. I'm just like, I'm pissed. And I hated Jimmy Dore when he left TYT, but now fucking the holy shit. I'm somehow in alignment with Mr. Jimmy Dore and Tucker Carlson on a couple Donald fucking Trump. I'm not in line with them on fucking anything else like that. Just this Ukraine situation. I mean, Jimmy's he's fine. I understand the anger and all that. He was right. There was the squad and AOC, all them turned out to, I mean, it might not be all their fault, but some of it is, sure. But what do you really do in a shithole like that? Like, what a situation. Everything is just so saturated in money and, yeah, just bad shit. Corruption. That's one of the words I was looking for. So, yeah, we're going to do some more stuff. Maybe we'll end up starting a political party. This is going to be my podcast for that. We'll have maybe more serious discussions, but this is going to be my more lighthearted, get to talk about all this stuff. But shit, if we were to start a real political party, like, let's have fun with it. Right? I know that sounds counterintuitive, because it's supposed to be a serious thing and all that like that. But yeah, why not have a little fun with it? I don't know if you've been paying attention to the metaverse stuff. That's another thing we're going to be talking about. I'm a big fan of the Earth 2. I know it's digital land, all that shit like that, how silly it is. But what I see in it is the chance for political meetings. It's going to be entire Earth. It already is. It's in development, but it's almost ready to some degree. The entire Earth remade in VR, but with no buildings or anything like that. So the community, millions of people are going to build the shit on there, build cities, be able to walk around, drive cars, fly all over the place. And I own properties on there that are mine forever. If I kick the bucket, fuck everybody, they're still mine. That'd be my legacy until the metaverse dies. Whatever I build there. But holy shit, for political meetings and shit like that, all us left-wingers, you want to recruit people? Go to the metaverse, get the VR goggles, and that's where we're going to build this shit, is in VR. And we'll meet together. We'll have a little parliament building. We'll take votes on shit like that. We'll see the budget up there on the board, what we have in donations, all that kind of shit. And we'll build something. But holy shit, I've been going for 3 hours now for my first podcast that nobody's going to listen to. I might chop this up into pieces. I don't know if I had sections that were going to kind of all over the place. Yeah, we'll see if I even get one view. If you got this far, write in the comments the word Star Trek. That's 2 words. Write both of them. So yeah, we'll pretty much leave it at that. We're gonna have a discussion about geopolitics, UFOs, ancient history, futurism, news, events, ideas, AI, space travel. Yes, even Star Trek, because there's Stranger Worlds is out, and I'm a relentless Trekkie. I mean, I don't even really care about the show. If the actors just stood aside so they get the hell out of the way so I could see the ship more, I would be fine with that. I just want to see it do its thing, The cool thing about Star Trek is the superpowers on Star Trek. It's not like all these other bullshit comic book, Marvel, DC bullshits. Star Trek, the superpower, much like Ghostbusters, is teamwork and science. The 2 superpowers of them. This is realistic. I never liked the superpower shit. So, yeah, that's why I really relate to them. Both teamwork and science. That's how I grew up as a kid, is believing in those philosophies. So we're going to talk a lot about all that stuff. And on that note, holy shit, I did my first live stream. If I listen to this back and I find out that I was muted or something the whole time, oh my god. And I've just been, I guess another normal night. No harm done, I guess, if that was the case. Just me fucking my thoughts. But, would love to hear some feedback on anything. Yeah. Because I'm recovering from back shit right now. So I'm not very mobile. It hurts to walk fucking too far, or most places, or even just sit like this I've been very still, but as soon as I go to stand up, I'm going to be very sore because I haven't moved in a while. So, and it is 3:30 in the morning here. So we'll leave it at that. Do you want me to end with a song? Yeah, I can jam sometimes too. I'm really good at making shit up on the spot. So we'll do that sometime. But I got this end screen thing. I want to see if this works. My little outro. If I can screen here. Oh, two things. I'll do my cool logo thing, and I'll say goodbye. Thank you. Thank you. Seriously. If you made it this far, holy shit. That's awesome. You are awesome. Yeah. What else can I say? Tell me who you are and tell me some stuff. I'd love to chit chat. If you can think of anybody that someone of my dumbass caliber would be good interviewing or talking to or should be talking to, I definitely want to talk to, like I said, some of those experts, Scott Ritter, the UN weapons inspector, and Louis Elizondo for UFO subject are my two go-tos. I also want to, I think Ryan is his name, disclosure, post-disclosure, UFO Jesus, yes. If I want a conversation with you, UFO Jesus, one of my favorites lately. George Knapp, holy shit, that'd be awesome for the UFO stuff. And I'll interview AI, and we'll have conversations on here with the AI, because that's I look up shit like Bose-Einstein. I ask it about quantum physics and crazy shit like that, because if you have the chance to talk to fucking an AI, you ask like how warp drive gets made. That's what you do, because that's what we've been waiting for. So my entire goal is figuring out warp drive through AI. And I think it's Bose-Einstein condensate. But I've thought that for a while. Yeah. So we'll leave it at that. And I love you all. All 0 of you, I think. Let me double check. Maybe there's one person. Nope. Just 2 of my own likes. Okay. It's been fun. And I'll maybe do this tomorrow. I don't know. I'll probably do shorter ones. This is my intro, long-ass one. I'll keep her shorter from here. But or unless I have lots of people talking to me. But, yeah. All right. Have a good night. Oh, wait. I wanted to do that cool ending screen thing. Well, first logo. Check this. Bye-bye.